Hey everyone, and welcome back to American Constitutionalists. Good to see you all. Hey, and we're actually growing, which is good. Welcome, new people. Okay, so the biggest news right now is Elon Musk speaking out a bit, saying that he's disappointed in Trump's bill. Now, I still don't know enough about the bill 100% to give my full opinion on it. I'm not going to sit here and BS you. That's one thing I will never do here. But what I have seen that he has talked about and bits and pieces of it, I do approve of. I am concerned about the $3.8 trillion increase. The whole purpose of DOGE was to start chipping away at that and make it go away. Our giant, ever growing deficit. I think last time I looked at it, was like, what, 36, was it $36 trillion? Maybe it's $37 trillion. And now with this big, beautiful bill, it is estimated, supposedly, according to the budget office, going to go up 3.8 trillion. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what Trump says in his bill, a little discussion of where it's at right now, and also just Musk's opinion on it. And then I'll give my 2 cents at the very end, because again, it is 2 cents. I don't know fully everything that's in it. I'm not fully up to date what's going on, and I'm just trying to catch up and discuss about this. Okay, so as the USA Today here says, Trump responds to Musk saying he's disappointed in big tax bill. I believe Elon Musk said something along the lines of either a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but he doesn't really believe it can be both. And I agree with that. I think bills have, I mean, we've all known that bills have gotten outrageously large. There's always thousands of pages. They're designed to not really be read, and they're just filled with pork. It's just, it is what it is. And honestly, us Americans can't really complain. And also, civilians in general cannot complain if you're not willing to get involved and do something about it. Again, it's, hey, you're either involved with politics or politics is involved with you. Now, people are like, hey, Dave, well, what about you? For myself, I did the recall 2020. I was with my local GOP committee for a while until work got too busy. But now I'm getting back into politics by, one, getting this channel up and going again, trying to get people information. But I've also recently been interviewed for a possible position as a field director to assist someone with their run for governor. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what, I'm not going to say when, because again, if there's one thing I've learned the hard way about politics, it is so absolute cutthroat that you have to be careful with what you do. So I'm going to keep that close to chest for now. It'll still be a month or two before I find anything out, maybe sooner, maybe later, who knows. But I'm hoping to do that. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine, because I'm planning on getting involved again anyways, at either a local level with my GOP committee or through other avenues. There's always multiple ways to go about it. Okay, anyways, that's a bit of a rant there about myself. Let's continue on. So President Donald Trump defended the sweeping tax and policy bill he's pushed through Congress after his ally Elon Musk said he was disappointed in the package's price tag. Elon Musk said, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decreases it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing. And I have to agree with that. If it's adding $3.8 trillion more to the deficit, here's what it says right here. It would also add an estimated $3.8 trillion to deficit over the next 10 years due to those tax cuts, and I have a problem with that. Now, the tax cuts are aimed to stimulate the economy by not just throwing money at people, but by cutting back how much money people are having to pay to the government. So from what I understand, I believe certain tax brackets, it depends on where you're at, the percentage you would get. This bill doesn't really talk about it too much. So what we are going to do is click a little bit here, straight from the White House, and talk a little bit about tax cuts in general. And we're not going to touch on everything, but just focus on the tax part itself. So it's talking about tax cuts, bigger paychecks, blah, blah, blah. Mean extra $5,000 in American pockets. I don't really think that's going to be I don't think it's going to be like a direct tax credit. It could be wrong, but it's a double-digit decrease. Now, if you either state or federal, where you know you're paying taxes, and you get a 10%, let's say at the very least, 10%. Okay, this one says around 15% less in taxes. I think I saw 10% though. So let's go with 10%, right? If you're getting a 10% decrease amount if you're paying in taxes, that's still a pretty good sizable chunk. Depending on what you're making, that's like a couple car payments. That's enough money to add more higher quality food to your table. Get away from that junk food, people. Really, just get away from that crap. More gas, more time to spend. I mean, it's going to open up the economy to benefits. to more beneficial growth. I remember during the lockdowns, and I call them lockdowns. I don't call them the other thing because that's what they were. They're basically hardcore plan lockdowns. They were handing out. I remember the government at the time was handing out $2,800, like one-time payment. I think it was at one point it's like maybe 1,400, 1,200 per person too. It was a bunch of them, right? And it just made inflation go up the wazoo and just went absolute chaos and caused a lot of problems dealing with today. I remember that and having to deal, like it helped a little bit with some people, but really since the entire like world was shut down, unless you're like in Florida, which should have moved to Florida, it was not really that great. A lot of people I think wasted it on dumb stuff. Some people paid bills, some people saved it, whatever. But I don't think it really benefited us in the long term, and obviously didn't because it just caused more inflation and just ruined our currency even more. It's ridiculous that the dollar is just not continuing to dominate. Like a dollar should buy you freaking yards worth of stuff wherever you go, but instead we're allowing the Federal Reserve to destroy it, and also bad decision politicians to destroy it further. But I digress. So paying 10% less, and what I'm assuming is going to be federal taxes, that will help. Now, if you're a high tax state like California, I don't think California's going to play ball with that. But just the fact that you can say 10% on that, that's freaking phenomenal. And also is pushing no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Now, you've got your contractors, you've got your part-time gig type people, you've got people online, you've got your restaurant workers. I know everyone wants to talk about the restaurant workers as if they're only people that do tips, but there's a lot of people getting tips and different things on that. And also no tax on overtime. Having worked in different career fields where people like a lot of overtime was like almost a necessity, someone not getting taxed on their overtime is going to be huge. Really, really huge. And it's going to be also really beneficial because then there's going to be more incentive to work those extra hours, work extra hard. Yes, there will be people that will try to milk overtime, as there always is. But you'll also have your hard workers taking advantage of that well and being properly rewarded. Because again, overtime, like when you start working past 8 hours, you're not as effective. Like regardless of how much caffeine you down or whatever, you're just not going to be as hardworking as before. But anyways, so it's good to actually see that that's coming to fruition and that's actually happening, and that's one of the promises he made. I remember Kamala Harris tried to jump on President Trump's bandwagon. That's the person I'm talking about, President Trump making these promises. But I remember Kamala Harris trying to jump on this bandwagon and everybody rightfully calling her out. That yeah, this is a good thing, and I think this is really going to help boost up the economy even more. Will be taken advantage of by certain people? Absolutely. But I think the benefits will outweigh the negatives, and in time we'll see if I'm right or not. And then the last little part right here, finding historical tax relief to Social Security recipients. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're already paying Social Security tax on something that was already paid with tax. And then this is the problem too here. We just have these elites, political elites and corporate elites too. But particularly political elites taking advantage of just gutting us alive with tax after tax after tax after tax. Yes, taxes do have to exist. That's how a country exists. That's how a government exists, how a system exists. But the sheer volume of it is insane, and we need to cut back more and more and more. And my biggest problem with this too, I get where go away, independent. I get the fact that Elon would be upset with this, but my concern also is where is this $3.8 trillion coming from? And that's what I really need to look more into. And it's saying it's going to add more to the deficit over the next 10 years due to those tax cuts. To me, if you're getting tax cuts and that's going to increase the deficit, then more government needs to be cut back. More government programs need to be cut back. And there is no reason to keep it there. Like if you can't pay your bills or you can't afford what you're doing, then it's time to cut your losses and move on. I mean, the United States should not be a 100% welfare state. Like we shouldn't be constantly having to support everything and everybody. It's not what we're for. We're the land of opportunity, not the land of handouts. We should never be the land of handouts. I understand perfectly well that people have hard times. I've been there too. Okay, been there too. I've had to be on unemployment. I've had to have like help locally when things just went south. Jobs didn't pan out well. There's things that happen that are out of control. I understand that. But that's what the employment system is there for, is to help people back on track. Okay. I know people are like, well, you should get out there immediately and just start doing something. It's like, you can't just go from a hard paying job to like scooping burgers or something or whatever. And sometimes that's not even realistic. Like, people that run their mouths like that don't realistically understand how hiring works and how managers look at things. Like, can't just submit a resume with vast amounts of experience in one field and then expect to get hired in another field for something a much smaller skill level. Because the hiring manager is going to look at you and be like, no, you're not even going to stay here. You're going to leave as soon as possible. I don't want to hire you. And that's a big problem right now with the job market. Another thing to talk about right now. So to try to keep this on focus here, it's get back to Musk a little bit. Trump shot back saying that after Musk said that it could be big or beautiful, he doesn't like it. He says we have to get a lot of votes. We can't be cutting. We need to get a lot of support. Now, I agree with that. Donald Trump had a really awesome, I want to say historic. I mean, he got the popular vote, electoral college, you got all the swing states, right? The problem with the United States is still here. The swamp, as a lot of people like to call it, is still there. That hasn't gone away. It's still there. Still murky, still lurking. And again, what a president can accomplish in 4 years isn't enough. It's going to take a dedicated, brand new line of civilians turning into politicians or getting involved with politics more aggressively than they ever have before. And it's not going to last very long. You always need to have that energy coming back. But it has to become a habit of getting involved and holding these politicians responsible and holding them accountable for what they're doing, and slowly and painfully cutting some of these things back and getting rid of the bloat and the pork. Which is a problem because the deep state is deep. All right. I want to give my little 2 cents on this, and I want to dig further. No, don't forget. Recall Gavin. And I will touch about a little bit more on what happened and how Gavin did not get recalled. Because again, I think the more we educate ourselves and understand what we're dealing with, the better. All right, everyone. See you next time.